Have we had to come up with new ways to grieve because we can no longer grieve naturally? An overarching theme in my work is that we humans have progressed and regressed. So I feel we overcompensate sometimes for things that we used to do naturally. Hi, I'm Soul. I'm an energy healer. Subscribe so we can show up as the best versions of ourselves. So today we're talking about grieving and what does that have to do with energy healing or online business? Well, death is inevitable, if I'm saying that right. I don't have to say it again, so I don't have to butcher it. And everyone also grieves differently. And I don't know about you, but modern life does not give time and space to grieve. And I think because we don't do that, it therefore does not respect life. In my job in the past, we would joke at work like, "Oh, just roll them into, um, you know, roll them into an empty cubicle," as horrible as that may sound. Um, so I became an energy healer and business owner because it just makes the most sense when it comes to being able to heal and live in such a way that just does give time and space for things that are the most important. Because you can't heal under a state of stress, and modern life is just it's just chronic stress. For example, when it comes to grieving, what does that process look like? How long does it take? So, I'm going to start with some practical, actual terms from my experience. I mentioned in another video having to beg for FMLA, which is protected by law, but that does not mean it's easy to access. And then there are, bereavement, grievance days, which are not protected by law, but are up to each employer. Now, I understand these policies exist so that people can have some allotted time, and of course, they exist because some people have abused the system. You, but essentially, you have to earn your days of leave to be able to grieve when someone passes, and that just makes zero sense to me. Grieving is a normal human function. So, like, please let humans be humans so that we can actually function as we should. But as a society, we go, I lost my place. It was flowing, but I lost my place. Sorry. But as a society, we go, oh, well, you know, do that on your own time. So I think and I hope many more people will go, you know what? I will do that on my own time and stop giving time to these people, employers, organizations that don't respect life. Which brings the question, when someone passes, do you have the time, money, resources, mental stability to handle it all? And sometimes the argument is, should we even handle it all? Um, So, for example, a few hundred years ago, if I had the same job title as energy healer and one of my family members passes, I I wouldn't necessarily have to worry about my job, nor would I necessarily have to worry about my family, because in many cases, many examples that we see um, in history is that the community would come together and make it all happen. We don't see that in modern times. So my thought process um, is, how can I make modern life easier, especially for people like me who are sandwich generation, because we we live in modern times. We have to figure out what works um, in this reality. So so I share and do exactly what has helped me: energy healing. Before I was introduced to energy healing, I struggled with death and grieving. I would cry and sob relentlessly for sometimes weeks. And at some point, I would wonder why I was even crying. Because I it didn't matter like who the person was. I would like hear about it, and I just wouldn't be able to handle myself. Um, a little story to better explain this is when I think I was like 12, maybe 11, 12, around there. My uncle was getting married, and his mother had cancer. And I asked my dad, what if Auntie passes away at the same time of the wedding? And my dad said, we go to both because they are both a celebration of life. And I didn't understand his sentiment. I just, it just didn't make sense to me at the time until I was introduced to energy healing, because it's energy healing that connected me to the sweetness of life, or similarly, the idea to stop and smell the roses. But even when we do have time to stop and pause, take a moment, we can struggle to appreciate, um, which, you know, that just causes more frustration and unnecessary sadness. For others, this can look completely different and show up as apathy, or an indifference to life. This is because we do not give time to these things that were once part of our natural daily lives. The thought that comes to mind is a bored child or teenager who has no interest in simple things. For example, another example with my dad, and my niece. I remember my niece asked my dad to cut up her burger, and my dad takes every opportunity to teach. But my niece, she like rolled her eyes, and she just wanted, she wanted her burger cut a certain way, and she wanted to get back to her phone. That's all she wanted. But I remember being her age and my dad teaching me to cut a burger the same way. And so as he was trying to teach her, I can just feel and relive that moment. And for me, it's such a mundane moment, but it was just nice. I had a sense of calm, sense of connection. And with, you know, without even thinking about it, unintentionally, that's how I cut my food now. And it's always calming. So let's see, where are we again? So when you do have a moment, practice. Practice. It's a skill. This is a skill. Practice smelling the roses, practice doing nothing, practice appreciating something for simply existing. It's a skill that can be learned and that we can utilize and must increase in modern living. Um, so now that you know why it's important part of the grieving process, how do we do that with limited time? Um, there's so many examples, but the the one that's coming to mind right now is stepping out into nature. And like, so I know some of us live in concrete jungles, but you can find, only takes a minute, 60 seconds. Find a piece of nature, find a leaf, and just stare at it for a minute. Go ahead, put your timer on and practice being present, yet like being everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Um, it pushes our patience because it's just like, why would I just sit? Why would anybody just sit and stare at a leaf? Because it helps regulate our nervous system when we take full advantage of that minute to pause. Because then your body all of a sudden goes, oh, wait, we're not doing anything. And the body can relax. Sorry, I'm not practicing doing nothing. I lost my place. So, um, try and savor the mundane moments because building the skill helps to level out these tense emotions, even positive ones like, sorry about that, even positive ones like overexcitement, which have the potential of a ricochet effect where you're immensely happy, followed by, a striking drop in mood. Yeah, okay, that's all I've got. Let me know in the comments how you incorporate doing nothing in your life, regardless of time constraints, and I will see you next week.